In this chapter, in this video recording, we're going to talk about Chapter 20, which is on money prices in the financial system. There are two really important parts of this chapter. One is how to price bonds, and two is how monetary policy is conducted using these bonds. Okay, besides that, there's a lot of material. We'll try to talk about all of it in class, but honestly, these are the two things that stand out to me as the most important points. Let's talk first about bonds, and in particular, how they're priced. What a bond is, in essence, is a piece of paper that says that the seller of the bond is obligated to pay back a certain amount of money at certain points of time to the buyer of the bond. So this is why you sometimes hear bonds called obligations. For example, Federal Reserve obligations. They are obligations to pay back money. Okay, but those are exactly what bonds are. So let's talk about a general type of bond, which is bought at t equals 0 and has coupon payments at points in time. Okay, what is a coupon payment? It's just a little amount of money. So put little c's, C, 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 C. So at each point in time, t equals 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say 5 as well, you get coupon payments back. What else do you get? At the final point in time, you get a principal amount. And the principal amount is generally much larger than the coupon payments. So for some common numbers that you might see here would be this bond is an obligation for the seller to pay the buyer back P equals $1,000 at T equals 5, and at each date T equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there shall be a coupon payment of $50. This coupon payment is equivalent to a coupon rate of 50 out of 1,000, which is 5%. Okay, so this is what a bond is a piece of paper that says the buyer will pay you back these payments, these points in time, yada, yada, yada. It's kind of, you can think of it as it's a deal. We shook hands, I gave you money now, you agree to pay me back these amounts at these points in time. Okay, now that we have this idea of what this bond looks like, this piece of paper, let's talk about an easy example and put some more specific numbers in. Okay, let's talk about a bond that just starts at t equals 0 and goes to t equals 1. And has just one coupon payment and the repayment of principal at t equals 1. Okay, there's no coupon payments in the earlier points in time between t equals 0 and t equals 1. Okay, in this area, no coupon payments. So how much will this thing cost? Well, typically we say that the price is going to be this principal amount. Okay, so for example, if the interest rate on treasury obligations we know now means bonds sold by the treasury, is 5%, that means that C divided by P is 5%. So if your principal amount were, say, P equals 1,000, then the coupon payment is $50. Okay, so these coupon payments, interest rates you hear quoted, they're the same thing. It's just that the interest rates you typically hear are coupon payments on treasury bonds. All right, so that's the connection here. So how much would someone pay for this bond? Well, they'd pay $1,000 up front with the assumption that they get P plus C back. And the payment they get back is this $50 is 5% of the original purchase, so a 5% gain in money. Okay, so yeah, this thing costs $1,000, you get $1,050 back. Now the question is, so if we paid some amount, the principal payment, and we got times 1 plus the coupon rate is equal to 1,050, The question is, how do these things change when interest rates change? So the coupon rate and the interest rate are linked when we talk about treasury bond obligations. So how do things change when the interest rate on treasury bonds start to change? Okay, that's going to be the first thing we talk about in class on Monday. Okay, great. So now we have this basic understanding of how bonds are structured, how they're priced. Let's talk about monetary policy given bonds. The first thing to think about is the Fed as a organization, right? Here's what the Fed looks like. It's got some columns out front. It's got an eagle up here. What the Fed does is take money and give it to the public, or if not money, then bonds. Okay, so the Fed has two possible options when we're talking about open market operations. It's either to provide bonds to the public or money to the public. What does the public give in exchange? Well, let's talk about the first option. If the Fed gives bonds to the public, then the people have to give money in exchange for the bonds. Right? So if bonds go from Fed to public, public has to pay money for the bonds. In other words, money is taken out of circulation because it's coming from the public and going over here. The second scenario is if the Fed provides the public with money. Okay, and if the Fed provides the public with money, the public will give bonds back. So you can think of this as a cycle where the Fed and individuals are deciding what to trade back and forth. Is it the Fed giving bonds to the public and the public giving money for those bonds? Or is the Fed paying the public money for bonds in return? Okay, this cycle of buying and selling bonds is how money is put in and taken out of circulation. And the price of those bonds is figured out using the methodology we talked about in the first part of this video. So in class, we'll talk about all these things more in depth and get down and dirty as to how to price bonds and how those bonds are used to conduct policy.